Well, with that in mind, we are prepared to start our meeting. We sure that more other speakers will log on. Oh, all our speakers are here. Let me share my screen so we can get started. Is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Welcome to Entrepreneurs Toastmasters. We're happy that you are here today and elated about I'm trying to adjust it. There we go. Elated that you have joined us on this beautiful April 3rd, 2024. I appreciate those of you that reached out to me the last couple of weeks when I was sick. Thank you very much for showing your care and concern. We have a great meeting planned for you today. But first, we'd like to call for an inspirational moment. An inspirational moment is an agenda. So be the best that you can be. Try your best in everything that you do, and remember to rest. The day starts at 12:01 a.m. So we rest first and then we work. Hopefully you're getting adequate rest so that you can wake up and prepare an amazing day for yourselves. We thank Frankie so much for doing our Pledge of Allegiance in respect for God, man, and our country. And this is our Toastmasters mission. It's our goal to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which all members are empowered to develop their communication, leadership skills, resulting in self-confidence, personal growth. Our announcements: Division A and Division B speech contests are this weekend. Please support Division A and Division B contestants. Renewals are here. It is time to renew our membership. So please ensure that you renew your membership if you haven't already done so. And Coach's Corner is Tuesday of the month. So please join Richard Snyder and Coach's Corner. There's also a Pathways training this Thursday from 7 o'clock to 8:30. And there will be every third Thursday of the month through the rest of the Toastmaster year.
PM?
Yes, PM. Thank you so much for asking. Yes, definitely PM. Although I could do an AM as well, but my other compadres may not be available. Happy birthday to all those that were born in April. For those that may be new, we wanted to let you know how Table Topics works in case someone is a guest and may not know. So please take time to read about Table Topics. And now for Entrepreneurs Toastmasters. What is it? We are very unique, different, and this is how. First Wednesdays, we have pathway speeches, which is this Wednesday. Third Wednesdays, we have a business challenge and a brainstorm session. And fifth Wednesdays, we have a mastermind. This is one of our members, Randy, that has done several masterminds for us. We've also had Suzanne do the last one. I've done one, but they're amazing and fantastic and wonderful. So please we look forward to seeing more of you sign up for these masterminds. To our guests, stay tuned after the meeting is over for us to answer any questions. And today we will have our executive meeting as it was postponed last meeting due to illness. And with that in mind, I would like to call to the virtual lectern an entrepreneur and a Toastmaster with multiple years of entrepreneurial experience that he continues to share with us every time he's Toastmasters on a regular basis. And if you've ever witnessed him or seen him, you gain some understanding of entrepreneurship. Charles Radney, can you please come to the virtual lectern and give us an educational moment? Charles.
Good morning, everyone. Thinking back
morning.
a couple meetings ago, when Kama shared with us a challenge she had when she was on the road doing a training, and she thought they would have a clicker, and they didn't. When you're preparing for speeches, no matter where you are, take everything that you may need. You never know who's not going to have something. On that same note, if you're doing outside speeches and you have to connect to a computer, you should have your speech or your slides on a memory stick, and the only thing on that memory stick should be the things pertinent to that particular meeting, nothing else. All too often, people go and plug in a memory stick, and in front of people are photos of their wedding, photos of a vacation, unrelated information. The only thing that should be on that memory stick is that particular presentation. Now, on another real quick note, and listening to Darren LaCroix and Les Brown, not Les Brown, but Mark Brown, two things they said, because they do an ongoing weekly podcast to help people become better speakers. And one of the things, and I'll kind of throw this out and ask Werner the question, ask maybe Dr. Jones the question, ask Frankie the question. Are there any topics that you would just love to give a presentation on? Frankie, starting with you, is there anything you would just love to give a presentation on? You're muted, Frankie.
I love having lots of things that I want to give a presentation on. I'm getting ready to launch a health and wellness coaching program, so I have lots of material.
The reason I asked that question is because Mark Brown said, pick something that you would just love to give a speech on, and you're going to really resonate through that speech. No matter what part of pathways you may be in, pick a topic of something that you would love to give a presentation on. Following with that, Darren LaCroix said, let no one out prepare you. Be prepared. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Wow. Let's give him a warm round of applause for those nuggets of truth. We learn not only about being prepared to give a speech, to have everything prepared and available, what equipment we need, how to use the equipment, but also to think about what is it that we're prepared to speak on, and speak on it from the heart with passion. He mentioned me earlier, and I thought he was going to call on me. And Charles, to answer your question, I'm amazingly compassionate about mentoring, being mentored, if you can't tell from my actions, but also neurodivergent learning. I think it's important to consider all learners in this walk of life. But thank you so much for that. Let's give him one more round of applause. And now, Entrepreneurs Toastmasters. What we all been waiting for. Yes, we go through the information, the knowledge, what's taking place and going on. It's time for the meat and potatoes of our meeting. I would like to call on our Toastmaster of the day, who is none other than Dr. Valencia Jones. Let's give her a warm round of applause as she comes to the virtual lectern. Oh. And welcome. I'm coming back. Yes, I was sick for a little while. My energy is coming back to the normal me. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Entrepreneurs Toastmasters. And it's with great privilege and honor that I have the privilege to serve as your Toastmaster for today. Our theme is marketing, targets, and position. What is your marketing strategy? Who are you targeting? What is the positioning that you're using for your marketing? This is a little bit of what we'll share today in between our speakers and at the end of our meeting. With that in mind, we have some amazing speakers that are in store for you. Our first speaker is Frankie Jones. In the agenda, I do not see her title or her project. Therefore, I will call on Frankie for her to be able to introduce herself, her title, her project, and her time. If you don't know Frankie Jones, do you get the District 12 news? Frankie has been our PRM for not 1, not 2, and not 3 years. Yes, when Suzanne Leonard was our district director, she called upon Frankie Jones, and Frankie Jones has stepped up to the challenge ever since. And I'm sure, Suzanne, there was some mentoring involved there. So we're happy that Frankie is here today, and also Suzanne. Frankie Jones, please join me at the virtual lectern. We're looking forward to your speech.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I tried to get into the agenda to add my speech, but it didn't give me the option. So I'm working out of Visionary Communications, level 3, using presentation software. As we talked about when Charles called on me, I am getting ready to launch a coaching program. My target audience is the senior community for now. And my passion is health and wellness for all. Let's see here. I'm multitasking here. I'm trying to share the screen here. And it's not letting me do what I want to do. Try this again.
It says you have sharing rights, Madam Frankie.
Yes. Here we go. Okay. Can you see the screen okay?
Yes, we can.
All right, all right. Sustain Me is an acronym, as you might guess, because we have to take responsibility for our own health and wellness. And we need to know what it takes to sustain ourselves. This is a very quick overview. It's like a 2-hour lecture, so I'm going to breeze through it with some very quick explanations. The first S stands for sunshine. We all know that we need sunshine. It's estimated that we spend 96% of our days inside, in a building or in a vehicle, and we might get 3% time outside in the sun. Sunshine is extremely important in, as we know, vitamin D production, which helps us absorb our vitamins and minerals. I've recently learned it is also a daytime melatonin source that actually directly impacts our cells rather than going through the process that our body goes through at night producing melatonin. It lights up our world. Our earth couldn't survive without sunshine. We cannot survive without sunshine. Our plant life relies on sunshine. It's said that the best time to get sunshine is when your shadow is the longest. So that would mean early morning or late afternoon. So take time every day to get out in the sun, even if it's for a few minutes, but preferably 5 to 10 minutes. Our next acronym is U, sustain, usage of water. Now, water is extremely important. We know that. We probably get rid of a gallon of water a day. We need to replenish that with we get a lot of it from our food, but we should be drinking at least 6 to 8 glasses of water a day, and not just water by itself. Excuse me. Salt is very important. And I'm not talking table salt. If you have table salt in your house, get rid of it. Table salt is made up of sodium and chlorine, which are 2 very harsh chemicals. What you need is a hand-harvested salt, such as Celtic salt or Himalayan salt. This contains 86% of trace minerals that our body requires. And you can drink tons and tons of water, but if you don't have this salt, your cells can't absorb it. So please make sure you have a little bit of salt before you drink your water to make sure your cells are absorbing the water. The next S stands for sleep. And oh, I love when I can sleep like this baby does. From 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. is the ideal time to get the really deep sleep you need for your body to recharge, to repair, and to absorb the nutrients that you've obtained during the day. Do whatever it takes to get that kind of deep sleep. I've recently gotten myself a weighted blanket. I use a mask to cut off any ambient light. And I feel like I'm just in a cocoon, and I sleep so much deeper and so much more relaxing that I really feel recharged, even if I don't get my full 8 hours of sleep. I've gotten the really deep sleep that I need. I'm sorry, Bond, I forgot to tell you I needed 8 to 10 minutes. My bad. Our next acronym is T, trust. You know, our faith, our beingness is reliant on trust. Trust that the universe will, in fact, support us. We trust that the sun will come up each day. We trust that we'll have what we need to survive. And the creator that created us created all of that around us and promised us that we would be sustained, maintained, and protected. So faith is an important part of our mental, physical, and spiritual health, which supports our physical health. A stands for abstain. Abstain from the no-nos that we know: alcohol, nicotine, drugs, caffeine. I haven't gotten rid of that completely in my life, but I only have 1 cup a day. And look at all the other toxins that we face daily. We are bombarded. There's mercury in our fish. There's lead in the paint. There's insecticides and food chemicals. There's fluoride, tin poisoning, aluminum and parabens. Our body cannot react quick enough to get rid of all the toxins if we don't give it what it needs. And what it needs is air. I stands for inhale. Just breathe. Do you do breathing every day? I mean deep breathing to expand the lungs and to really open yourself up. And here's a tidbit. Breathe through your nose, not your mouth. Your mouth is not for breathing. You need to breathe in through your nose and out through your nose, slowly. Breathing in through your nose is another filter to eliminate some of those toxins. Breathing deeply expands your lungs and allows you to process more oxygen. And plus, it just feels good, doesn't it? Just to breathe. And breathe when you're outdoors. The N, of course, stands for nutrition. Organic, organic, organic. I cannot stress it enough. Make sure you have plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables, raw or cooked. preferably at least some raw vegetables. Try to reduce your flesh intake. It's really hard for your body to digest flesh protein. And supplements in this day and age are really important. Make sure they are whole plant-based and that they are whole foods. You know, if most of your vitamin C is just ascorbic acid, that is not vitamin C. You need the whole C complex for it to be effective. So read your labels. As it often is said, moderation, everything in moderation. Too much of anything is more harmful than some of the bad guys. So what are you obsessing on today? Where is your focus? Where are you spending most of your time? Are you in balance in your life? Balance is extremely important. So everything in moderation. And finally, exercise. Our bodies were designed to move, and we have become very sedentary in this modern times. My recommendation is to find something that you love to do, because then it's easy. It's not hard. I have recently gotten myself a rebounder, and I love it. Who doesn't love to jump? Jump, jump, jump. And you're getting all kinds of exercise with the resistance. So find an exercise that you love that and move that body. Health and wellness, sustain yourself. Learn what you need to, do what you need to, and become who you are meant to be. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Please join me in giving Frankie one more round of applause on Sustain Me. And now it's time for our feedback session. This is where we take 3 to 4 minutes to provide Frankie with feedback. Do I have anyone that would like to provide Frankie with feedback today?
Hey, Frankie, I'll share if I can. Was that okay?
Sure.
Awesome. Wonderful, wonderful topic. It's definitely applicable nowadays because so many of us baby boomers are getting up there. And a couple of questions. I love the acronym. I would say in a 5 to 7 minute speech, though, you give right away, first of all, what's the connecting device that's going to grab their attention? And what I was thinking about is who's really your target audience. And you said I think you said the senior population or whatever, but within that population, there are active seniors. There are those who need certain medical attention, though there are those who are coming back from different problems and medical challenges and so forth. So you can really tighten that down a little bit and think about who your target audience is based on how much information you feed them. Some of them are going to get lost with the different verbiage that you're using because they won't understand those details. But when you say a word like toxin, explain what a toxin does negatively to your body. I think Roosevelt would really agree with that. So when you're educating this senior group, give more explanation about how it will affect them or what it's doing to them that will cause them not to sustain a longer life, not to live a better life. So the 3 things I would say is what? Ask yourself, what's the connection? Why is it important? And then also, so what? Because they're going to be thinking, some of them might be thinking, so what's so good about that? So you need to make sure that you let them understand what's so good about the information that you're sharing with them. And so short talks are sometimes better than long talks because you can get more specific in a certain number of areas. I wouldn't use all the Sustain Me. I wouldn't go through all of that if you don't have ample time. I know you said this is a short compared to the longer, but maybe talk about the entire Sustain Me real quick, give an overview, and then pick out a few to really peel into based on the time and the target audience.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Randy. Great feedback, suggestions, in addition to things that went well. Do we have someone else that would like to provide Frankie with feedback? Rosabelle Young, I see your hand up. Hi, Rosabelle.
Oh, thank you. Great presentation. I don't know if this was for your research and presenting. It could also have been a Q&A, but either format, as I always say, anytime you have a speech, you can make it fit into any path, any pathways project. So, but the suggestions I would have for this one is maybe start out with a question to grab them. As Randy was saying, you know, why WIIFM. I forgot what he said specifically, but basically what's in it for me. And starting out with a question like how to challenge people and how well they know themselves. Do they, and you might then also recommend that they tailor their activities and diet changes and so on to what they've learned about themselves and to monitor themselves along the way. Kind of give them homework, so to speak. I don't know if you're including this in the book you're writing, but a lot of the books on health and wellness have questionnaires along the way, at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of each chapter, maybe. That might be a way to present the speech as well.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rosabelle. Do we have one more?
Hello.
Madam Suzanne Leonard. Yes, I see your hand. Please share with us. We would love to hear from you.
Thank you so much. And you will later, of course. But Frankie, oh my gosh, what a plethora of information and reasons why I tend to agree with what Randy had said as well, is that it's a lot. It's a lot to, it is indeed a day workshop. So I think going a little deeper with fewer of the sustain me would be helpful in a 5 to 7. This needs to go around the district. You need to get us all healthy and wealthy so we can be who we were meant to be as entrepreneurs and Toastmasters. Thank you for the information.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Suzanne. Can we please give all 3 people that provided feedback just a round of applause? We appreciate you. It's needed, it's wanted. Frankie, you did a great job. I know I've saw the speech before. You've improved a lot since then, and I'm sure the feedback that you got today will definitely help. Entrepreneurs, Toastmasters, and guests. We have our second speaker. Our second speaker is not only our immediate past president, the District 12 DCP chair, a mentor to myself. She received her DTM this year as in the new program. And some of you don't know, we also have a legacy program that she also received her DTM in. She's been a regional advisor, one of the only ones that are in the district. And she mentored another club along with Bon Wang. Please join me with a warm round of applause as I invite Roz Carter to the virtual lectern to share with us her 5 to 7 minute speech from Presentation Mastery. Madam Roz Carter.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. What a wonderful introduction. And today's speech is in Presentation Mastery, but it's to inspire your audience. How many of you want to be inspired today? Raise your hand, yay. Because sometimes we miss something. You know, when I came up with the title, Walk the Walk and Talk the Talk, what's the first thing you thought about? Maybe, just maybe, somebody is going to hear something that makes them go, I never thought about that. When you walk the walk, it means that you're walking in unison with how to reach your target audience. What are they going to think about you after they see your actions your body language, your gestures, but does it match the talk that's coming out of their mouth? Talk the talk means that we are believing what they said. Now, suppose it doesn't match. Maybe I'm laughing and smiling, but I'm talking about something sad and serious. Ladies and gentlemen, please give this person a round of applause because they have just come out of the hospital and they have so many things going wrong in their life. And we know that they are not going to make it. How would you feel if I was smiling the whole time I was talking about someone not making it? In other words, dying. Oh, that would be so terrible, wouldn't it? The audience picks up on what we say and what we do. And so therefore, walk the walk and talk the talk can also come across as actions speak louder than words. When I was talking to my daughter, who's like a millennial or whatever that generation is called after baby boomers, which is what I am, she said, "No, Mom, that doesn't mean action speaks louder than words. It means that if I hear you say something, I want to see the gestures match. Walk the walk and talk the talk." But sometimes people do match. Do you know anyone who says exactly what they mean and their actions are exactly what they say? I have a friend who does that. When I see her, I know exactly what she means without her saying a word. Her posturing, her facial gestures come out before the words she speaks. If any of you know Esther Pothla, that's who I'm talking about. When I see her, she's saying what she means, and her actions match the words that are coming out of her mouth. I have to admit that sometimes my actions do not coincide or match what I'm saying, only because my reaction is different from my actions. My reactions tend to take over. You know how when someone tells you some shocking news and you go, oh my God, and then you realize you're making them upset. Your facial expressions and your hand gestures are telling them it's a terrible thing because you reacted that way. But they will overlook the fact that you're excited because you don't have a smile. I know that sometimes that can send a mixed message. Has someone ever told you you send mixed messages? And how do you feel about that person afterwards? If Charles was smiling, but he was telling me some derogatory information that I did not want to hear, and I'm frowning, I might be crying, but he's smiling and continuing with that dialogue. How would I feel about him afterwards? It's like, he's not telling me the truth. Sometimes when people don't tell us the truth, we won't pay attention to what they say. So do your actions speak louder than the words coming out of your mouth? Do you walk the walk and talk the talk, especially when you're training and mentoring someone? Your target audience has to be in your mind. Your marketing has to be sharp, and you need to get to the end result of what you want. I don't know about you, but I want to believe people. I want to look at them when they're smiling, frowning, or crying, and trust that they are telling me the truth. So when you walk the walk and talk the talk, think about trust. Think about, do you believe what they're saying, what they're doing, their actions, every step they take, all of the dynamics of creating an environment to work with people? And I also think of our club president, Dr. Valencia Jones. When I see her on Facebook or wherever, she's walking the walk and talking the talk because I believe what she is saying is the truth. Can people trust you? I sure hope so. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Let's give our second speaker, Madam Roz Carter, a warm round of applause. Wow, Rosalind, are we walking the walk and talking the talk? Great speech. Now, it is another time for our feedback session from Madam Rosalind. I'm holding back, so I hope others speak. Who would like to share with Roz feedback on her speech? Your hand up, and I also see Melinda. So we'll have Rosabelle first and then Melinda second. Madam Rosabelle.
Oh, thank you again. Thank you. Well, great talk, great presentation, Roz. Again, it merits another 20 minutes or even a workshop if you were to get into the nuances of facial expression and gestures around the world and even in our own community in different situations. I think you made a good point, especially what I call WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. And I think of myself as a WYSIWYG person. Well, with me, WYSIWYG. If I'm angry, I'm going to show it. I'm going to say it. If I'm happy, I'm going to show it. It's difficult for me to hide expressions. And I have to admit, this causes difficulty in cultures where people are supposed to have a more stoic presentation. Being Mediterranean and especially Hispanic, you can imagine that I'm a lot more emotional than the stoic Anglo-Saxon America that I came to at the age of 11 or 12 years old. And maybe it was hopefully not too late to change in appropriate situations. So the culture is one point. And then even with us, I mean, you look at a comedian, and Buster Keaton, for those of you who are old enough, there was one comedy that was a big hit where this house is falling on him and the audience are all laughing. Now, this would be a deadly accident and people would have normally, seeing that walking down the street, been, scared or run to help him. And instead, everybody's laughing. Well, because it's staged. And it's not that he's not telling the truth or being dishonest, but in a comedy situation, and even if we look at the humorous speech pathways project, there is mention that sometimes you have to use satire, even in a serious political situation, make fun. We all have heard the political jokes when we've been down. And I think if you had more time, those would be two things that you could expand upon. Thank you, Roz. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, for your time, for my time.
Of course, thank you so much, Rosabelle. Great information for Roz. And now, Madam Melinda, please unmute. I saw your hand up and you wanted to share feedback.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Can you
Great
hear me?
audio. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, yes, okay. Roz, I love your speech. I heard the end of it. But what you said had high merit for me because I live by that mantra that your walk and your talk should match at all times. And the one thing about having the gift of discernment, which God has blessed me with, I can tell whether a person's walk and talk match just by looking at them eye to eye. And so that is important to me when I'm talking to someone or when someone's talking to me, that I get the eye contact, because then I can assess the genuineness of the content they're giving. So thank you for marketing that concept that our walk and talk should match.
Thank you so much, Melinda. Do we have anyone else that would like to share? Madam Roz, I will. Your speech was fantastic, eye-opening. It not only provided us with information, but examples in the outside world of Toastmasters and within Toastmasters in our very own club about what you were talking about. You mentioned baby boomers and millennials, and something I wanted to share is Generation X, Y, and Zs. They have been taught to not look the way they act or the way they feel, to mask and hide pain, to leave outside and act like everything is okay. Sometimes when things in the home are not. But the pendulum is shifting now with our new generation of 15 to 29-year-olds, because they say everything that's going on social media. So your information was great. It's just a tidbit for all of us to remember and know when you're interacting with a Generation X, Y, or Z, they may not necessarily walk the walk or talk the talk, but that's because they were trained that way. And they had to actually learn to really show their emotions on their face. But your speech gave us a call to action. It presented those that we know and respect highly, showed us the value of legacy with your daughter, and we appreciate you for sharing this invaluable information. Thank you, Madam Roz. Fellow Toastmasters, I would say District 12 dignitaries that are here today, and fellow guests. We have a District 12 dignitary that is our next speaker. If you joined District 12 in the last year and a half, you may not know Suzanne Leonard. But if you joined District 12 prior to that, you know exactly who Suzanne Leonard is. She is now our immediate past district director, which means she was over the entire district. Suzanne Leonard was also my silent mentor when I went to my first officer training. She was poised, dignified. Wait till you hear her voice. It's so calming. It makes you want to lean in and just hear every single word that she says, speaks, even her breaths. Suzanne is well-versed in Toastmasters, entrepreneurs, and public speaking. Please join me as we welcome Suzanne Leonard to the virtual lectern to share information and knowledge. Get ready to lean in and listen to it all, Toastmasters. Madam Suzanne.
Unmute.
Please unmute Miss Suzanne.
All right, I get to thank you again now with a real voice. Thank you for that generous introduction. Oh my goodness. Have you ever had to, the title of my talk, downsize to upgrade? Now, downsize has a bit of a twist in it. We think downsize, oh, fearful. Oh my gosh, we're downsizing. The company is downsizing. Things are being downsized. Things that I used to buy can't find anymore. All of that kind of thing that goes on in our world right now. And downsizing for us can mean a lot of things. It can mean being pink slipped from a job where you're going to have to kind of change some things. It could mean downsizing your home now that you are empty nesters. But whatever it's going to be for you, it's going to require change. Show of hands if you like change. It's difficult. It's like, I'm going to have to grow. I may have to give up something in order to avail myself of what's next. What's next? Marie Kondo, in her New York Times bestseller and one of the books on my shelf, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. Downsizing is like a tidy up. It's like, okay, I'm going to call in a change. What serves me now? As entrepreneurs and as people out in the world, not just selling a product or a time or an experience, but actually bringing our presence, like Roz said, our authentic presence into what we do every day. You are an entrepreneur, even when you're not speaking about what is your passion, what is your genius. In one of the books on my shelf, I want to share with you now, and I again encourage you to, you can check it out at the library, it's there, is a book called right here, and I've used it a lot, The 6 Types of Genius by Patrick Lencioni. Show of hands if you know about it or have read it. Absolutely, and what he does for us as entrepreneurs is bring to our awareness where we shine. What is our, and there are 6 of them. I won't go into detail now, but again, I encourage a read of the book. You can check it out, or perhaps you have a friend that you can borrow it from. But I'm learning about, this is my level 5 presentation mastery, and it's about reflection. And so I am learning about and want to share with you today, not only the 6 habits of genius, but also a couple of other ideas that I have gleaned from some of the webinars and things I've attended that Randy Powell has provided me with as part of his Envision Success Mastermind group, but things that you can apply right now. And there are a few, but they're important, very important to us right now. How many of you have heard of Zappos shoes? Show of hands. Anyone? Zappos shoes? Tony Hsieh, early on as a young genius, he would be one of the XYZs that Dr. Valencia spoke of, filled with passion, filled with ideas, impatient, and he had friends that were of the same ilk as far as enthusiasm and great ideas. And in founding and being the CEO of Zappos Shoes, he came up with some out-of-the-box ideas, some things that stretch us. And as entrepreneurs, we are navigating a wonderful opportunity to share what our gifts are. He moved his entire base from San Francisco area to Las Vegas. He just moved the whole company with all of its exponential vendors to Las Vegas. And he formed a team that was more like a family. And don't you agree, as you pursue and you have clients and you have people that follow your pod, and Suzanne Ali, I know, is getting ready to go online and have wonderful things happen for her ventures, that you become a family. They become repeat clients, if you will, but you associate with them more than just once in a while. Well, that's the kind of company that Tony Hsieh built with Zappos. And I also like their tagline, powered by service. It grabbed me because one of our core values in Toastmasters is service. Here's what Tony did with his company in 2008, when it was imperative that they needed to downsize to upgrade their service. In his Let Go message, he continued to supply them with more than average severance pay He paid for their health benefits. He did some marvelous things for the transition that felt good, that people weren't going, oh, I'm so scared. No. He said, no, we're going to handle it, your family, and here's how we're going to navigate. The rest is history when he merged with Amazon, and they are continuing to do just more than shoes. Most recently, however, what I want to share with you in closing is I had the opportunity to attend a webinar workshop, with Craig Dussault and John Malinchek. How many of you know either one of those people or have listened to their podcast or heard about them? Thank you. They were wonderful, and there were a couple of things I think are pertinent to your growth as an entrepreneur, and that is verbiage. That is wording. Not only can we read what people are thinking with their expressions, as Roz pointed out, but really the words we use in our interactions with not just our clients, but people in general. There are 5 of them. You might want to write them down or get the book. I borrowed mine from, where's the book? Tony, here it is. From the Smiley Library, it's called Delivering Happiness to Paths, Profit, Passion, and Purpose. Purpose. You all have a purpose. You all have something you want to say, which is why you're an entrepreneur. But more importantly, going back to John, here are things that are important for you. 5 words that you need to begin to incorporate in your language. The first is you. Switch from me, my, I to the word you. How will this value you? Second is guarantee. I guarantee that you're going to like this idea. It will serve you well. The third word is new. You'll feel new and refreshed when you employ whatever your product is, or whatever your seminar is, or whatever your service is. And the fourth, of course, one that we are acquainted with already, is free. And this can come to you free. You are the agent who will set this in motion. And the last, he says you can put this in if you want to, is the word sex. So you are guaranteed a new and free idea of yourself when you employ these words and use them in conversation. So you will benefit as you continue to extend your learning to webinars, to seminars, and to current books on what you want to do. Be the best entrepreneur that you can be. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much, Madam Suzanne Leonard. We learned a lot. Those 5 words resonated. How you got to them. The famous people that you talked about, that many of us have heard about. Toastmasters, it is time for us to share feedback with Madam Suzanne Leonard. Do we have a volunteer? Warner, please.
Yes, thank you, Suzanne. Certainly very valuable, especially the book that you mentioned about the geniuses. I had never heard before, and I've seen quite a few books, so I'm going to be looking that up. Appreciate it. Commenting here, as well as for the other 2, I'm realizing on Zoom we are a little bit constricted. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to speak at a live event, and wow, it felt so freeing to be able to move around in the room. Whereas this little hole that we look at, this little window, makes it a bit constraining. That's why, for me, it is even more important that we position ourselves well within the Zoom. So Suzanne has a very good position. You see much of her, so you can see all her hand movements. However, she does get clipped on the top a little bit with her hairdo getting cut in half. You might want to do a little bit of recording of your own and work with positioning. So also with Roz. Roz you might want to also take a look at yourself and see how you're positioned. Often people, and in this case also, have the machine a little bit too low. It's better to have more straight on. Like Susan is looking straight, we see her straight on at our level. Whereas sometimes people are either looking up at the camera or looking down at the camera. And that gives a little bit of a flavor of not being quite right. So what Frankie did, and I really need to learn how to do that. I really like where you put yourself into the image, into the picture. We can see you down at the right, but prominent is sustain me. So it makes it very much like on television, where they have characters coming in and out and doing things, and that's a professional way of being able to present. So presentation on Zoom, I'm finding now that I've had experience again in real life, is very important for us to think it through how we want to impress people. That's my commentary. Thank you very much, and back to our Toastmaster.
Thank you, Warner. Let's give him a round of applause. And in the kindest way possible, I would love to solicit feedback for our speaker, Suzanne Leonard. I appreciate the comments that were made earlier for all of the speakers, but we really want to hone in on one speaker at a time so that they can take the feedback from their speech, and if they give it again, they can use it. Any other comments from Suzanne, for Suzanne Leonard?
Yeah, I just have a couple. Hi, Suzanne.
Hi, Randy.
One of the things that Suzanne was talking about in those 5 words that Malinchek had trained people on not too long ago in that webinar she's talking about, those, I would like to see Suzanne explain and add verbiage in there that describes that those words are words that our brains connect to through neuroscience. It's been proven that there's a certain way that we like to be spoken to. And Suzanne needs to add that, in my opinion, into her opening so that when she describes the 5 words, we take that in differently and we understand, okay, I understand that if I use I'm distancing myself, but when I use the word you, I'm talking to that individual separately. So you might have a lot of people in the room, but when you say you, that connects with everybody in the room. And the word sex, that's the 5th word, and what she can do better to explain sex, because it kind of like shocks people. And the way James taught it was that when you think about somebody in a commercial, or they're showing their hands or stockings and things like that, the word sexy and not necessarily sex the act, but sex appeal, sexy, those are the kinds of words that grab people's attention because it formulates a certain image in their mind through that whole neuroscience connection thing. So if you explain that a little bit more, you won't be afraid to say the word sex, because James added in some information in there so people would understand the word when they heard the word sex rather than be put off or shocked. And that's I think overall it was a great job.
Thank you so much, Randy. We appreciate you for your feedback for Suzanne. And Charles, I see your hand is up.
Just real quick, Suzanne, great presentation, but to emphasize the I versus we standpoint, the late Cindy Carpenter was able to get Patricia Fripp to our conference by using that exact concept. Everybody should employ the I versus we in their everyday actions. Back to you, Dr. Jones.
Thank you kindly, Charles. Let's give Charles, Randy, and Warner a round of applause for the feedback that they provided to Suzanne. Suzanne, I hope it was helpful and beneficial. And we do look forward to hearing this speech and learning more about Patrick Cioni and his book. Now, Toastmasters. We understand timing, and we know that some of our speakers may have went over slightly, but we still want to have some table topics. Melinda has prepared some amazing table topics for us today. We may only have time for 2, but definitely we want to practice our impromptu speaking. So Melinda, can you please, oh, you're already unmuted. Can we please give Melinda a warm round of applause as she comes to the virtual lectern for our table topics? Madam Melinda.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, and here let's talk about the subject. How do we market ourselves? We are entrepreneurs on a mission, but the positioning of how we do what we do is definitely making a difference in how we project ourselves to society. So just a little tidbit for you to consider. I'm just going to ask two brief questions. Number one, when you think about your positioning, where do you see yourself as an entrepreneur? And number two, what type of positioning would you use? There are 5 ways you can market yourself from a positioning perspective. 1 is based on geographical location. 2 is by demographics. 3 is by psychographics. 4 is by firmographics, and 5 is behavioral. So these are the 5. Once again, geographic, demographic, psychographic, behavioral, and firmographic. These have to do with the way you as an entrepreneur market your business. So if you had an opportunity based on these 5 types of positioning, which one would you choose and why? Volunteer. Step up to the mic.
I'll volunteer. Good morning, and thank you so much, Madam
Go right
Topic
ahead.
Master. Just kind of based on your question, when it comes to entrepreneurship, I believe that I'm in a position of being in the thick of it. Much of my entrepreneurship and my marketing is primarily online. Being a speaker and a trainer, I'm able to post where I'm speaking, where I'm training, post tips and tools of the different and various topics, which has gotten me a lot of exposure. Being a real estate broker and having a real estate office, I'm able to position myself via social media as well, which has been great for me, where it's given me the traction that I've needed in order for me to get the deals and to get the eyes, I guess that's the word. That's not the word I was looking for, but getting the eyes on myself to where people can see what it is that I am doing as well. And it's also built credibility. Majority of my business comes from Facebook because of all of the videos and the tips and the tools and techniques that I put out there. Being a founder of a nonprofit and having a mentorship, social media has given us the eyes once again and the ears of people who follow us to see what it is that we're doing, to contribute and to donate to what we're doing. So social media has been the best way for us to market, for me to market all of my businesses, and for me to be able to encourage other people that are seeking entrepreneurship as well. I've been blessed to have people come talk to me, and I've been able to help other people in their entrepreneurship. And so social media is the way that I've been able to get out there to market what it is that I do. Madam Toastmaster, Table Topic Master.
Thank you for your feedback. So, what type of marketing do you use? Psychographics, geographics, demographics, behavior graphics, or firmographics? So, is it people? Is it their attitude? Is it their behavior? Is it where they're located? What exactly is your positioning with marketing? Even in the social media realm, who do you target as your position? Anybody want to answer that question? I'll take another volunteer.
I'll speak up to that real quick. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm a little shy here. I'm a little unstable, today. Quite frankly, it's behavioral for me, which is the majority, although there's a mixture. But when I speak behavior, I mean, when I'm marketing to a process that takes people from where they are to where they want to be. And that process starts with, earlier you were talking, I think somebody was talking about purpose and helping people identify their purpose in life, what they're really aimed and meant and designed to do. And typically it's that thing that's always in our back of our minds and not ever leaving us alone, never goes away. And yet we put it off. So it's really based on behavior, getting people to get unstuck and take them through a process. And so all of that is behavior, because without changing our behaviors, we don't take action. Therefore, we never live our best life, so to speak. So it's all about getting people to change their behaviors and get up off the couch, so to speak.
Thank you for answering that question. Last question, and that is, as an entrepreneur, do you ever do a SWOT analysis from time to time, periodically, to make sure you are assessing where you are in the position for your business? A SWOT analysis is very important. Evaluating your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. If you're an entrepreneur, you can identify with SWOT, SWOT. Who does that periodically as a business owner? Volunteer.
Point of order, Madam Melinda, as president, I apologize for this. But as I said earlier, we only had time for 2 questions, partly because we took a few minutes break to ensure.
My apologies.
Well, to come on, no problem. And then some of our speeches went over, but we want to make sure that we do things in at least a timely manner as possible. But we'll definitely be thinking about a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats as we venture throughout our week. I would thank you so much for understanding. And please give a warm round of applause for those that answered. Great job. Now I would like to call on our general evaluator. And if I can, I know that we took 3 minutes prior. If I can extend the meeting 5 minutes, if you have to leave, we more than understand. And Suzanne Ali, please share with us your general evaluation of the meeting.
Thank you, Madam Toastmasters. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. Just wanted to make
Yes.
sure I'm talking loudly enough. Great meeting. I am so glad. As I mentioned before, I have been gone, as Frankie mentioned, for several weeks, several months, and I'm very glad to be back, getting back into the swing of things and getting to know each of you all over again, most of you, but great meeting. Our first speaker, Frankie Jones, sustain me. I love that acronym. I love when anybody uses an acronym. I don't want to repeat what our wonderful evaluators have already said to you, but I wrote down sunshine, Celtic salt, which I've never heard of, so I'm definitely going to check that out, and exercise, because I'm a big believer in exercise, getting out in the sun, getting exercise. But I love that acronym. As folks said, I think it could have been a lot longer, and I'm sure you've given a lot more presentation or longer presentations on it. What I would have liked to have had before, and yeah, I know you mentioned this, you tried to get it into the agenda and you were unable to do that, but it would have been helpful to have had your title and your time. You mentioned that during your speech, but it would have been nice for the timer to have had the time beforehand, so he would have been prepared. Bond would have been prepared, but excellent speech. I think everybody gained, I know I did, a lot from your speech, sustained me. Roz, your speech was awesome. Also, walk the walk and talk the talk. I know we all say that, walk the walk and talk the talk. Some of what the evaluator said, I wrote down. Working as a social worker, cultural differences really play a lot into how they talk and walk and their facial expressions. As Rosabelle said, she's more emotional, and whereas other cultures are a little more kind of melancholy when they talk. But I know that was a lot of when I worked with patients with mental illness, They were what we call incongruent. They were talking about a sad moment, but they were kind of laughing and smiling. So it is very important to match that, what we're saying, with our, as I say, the nonverbal, which those of us who can't can't necessarily see all the time, but we can tune into that, what somebody's saying and how they're feeling. So excellent. I love that. Walk the walk and talk the talk. Suzanne Leonard, Pathways, number 5. You were downsize to upgrade. I love that title, and it is so great. We're doing that here at my house. We're having to, since my dad passed away, we're getting rid of some items that he had that we no longer need, just to make our lives easier. And I love, and to just get rid of things to make things better for ourselves. I love the book title. I can't remember it offhand, but I'm going to get it. Definitely. I was in that workshop the other day with Malinchak, and so I kept shaking my head on everything that you said, the more you, and I agreed with Randy about talking a little bit more about that. But I love your presentation skills. Some of the feedback I would give today is being able to start the meeting on time. We started at 7 a.m. and we've had to go back because we didn't have everybody here. So please try to be here. I would log in. I did probably at about 12 minutes before the meeting, just because I wanted to make sure I was up and my camera was on. But I would highly recommend that, so we could start the meeting on time. It would be helpful. Try to get your introductions to the VPE. Sign up for roles. We meet every 2 weeks, and it seems like we're at the last minute trying to get a Toastmaster and general evaluator. That would be helpful. And then introductions. The Toastmaster Day, it would have been nice for Dr. Valencia to have been introduced, because she is our presiding officer, our president. It would have been nice. I could have done that certainly if you would have sent me an evaluation. I could have set up the stage and evaluate, or giving you a nice introduction as our Toastmaster. I'm a big proponent of introductions. Other than that, it was a great meeting. I look forward to our next meeting in 2 weeks. Thank you very much for your time. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was amazing. Please give
Yes.
applause. We appreciate you, Suzanne.
Thank you.
Toastmasters, today we have a guest. James, de pronto dans l'important invité. Je m'appelle Véronique Honnet. En français. Qu'est-ce que son nom? James. And in English, what I said is, can you please, in Spanish, French, or I'll translate. I asked him if he could please introduce his guest. And I told him what my name was and asked for her name.
You're muted, James.
You're muted, James. We can't hear you. Did everyone see what I put in the chat in French to him? I just want to make sure it went through. Well, earlier, I'm sure if you didn't see he asked me if he could introduce his guest, and I said, yeah, there will be time toward the end of the meeting. So I want him to be able to introduce his guest. I said it in French, and in English. For those of you who don't know, yes, I speak French. I learned it in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and I'm studying it again for the last year. And with that in mind, this has been an amazing meeting. Yes, we had 3 speakers, which took courage. We had to take a break to give people time to come on. But overall, how many of you learned something new? 2, 3, 4, or 5 things new. Who has some books that they're going to go out and read and buy, learn who's writing books. We learned from Charles Radney about how to speak. We learned about health, academic, emotional, social, mental, entrepreneurship, Toastmasters. We came to do what we said we were going to do today. So our closing thought for today is take the wisdom, the knowledge, the energy, effort, and presentation skills that you saw today and use it apply it to your business and to your sales. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Same Entrepreneur Day, same Entrepreneur time, same Entrepreneur Zoom link. Bye for now.